Have you ever experienced something so crippling in your life that has made you feel broken? I have. Are you someone who has a giving heart but is struggling to feel good themselves? Are you consistently putting your needs aside to take care of everyone else? If so, you're not alone. Giving starts with giving to yourself so that you are able to give of yourself to other people. Isn't it time you took back control and discovered what makes you tick? Join me in my journey and find out how you can feel better about yourself, live your best life, and share that with others. Thinking of yourself, it doesn't make you selfish. It makes you brave. I'm Nelia, and this is the Giving Starts With You podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Giving Starts With You podcast. I'm your host, Nelia Hutt. I just wanted to welcome you and everybody who's listening to another episode, and I'm so glad that you've joined me again today. If you didn't catch last week's episode, it was with Tracy Brinkman, phenomenal entrepreneur, just phenomenal human. So go back and listen to that show. Next week, we have Yvonne Morgan. Yvonne is going to speak to us about how her son's loss taught her about helping other people. Yvonne is an author, blogger, missionary from Oklahoma City. She believes in finding God in ordinary life. She and her husband, they founded Orphan Relief Effort, Inc. And in this episode next week, she's going to be sharing with us about her travel missions, making a difference in the world, and how the loss of her son really changed her life. Tune in next week for that beautiful conversation that I have with Yvonne as well. So thank you so much for joining me today. Today I want to talk about, giving people a second chance and how sometimes we're bombarded by all these fake profiles on Facebook and how, I don't know about you guys, but since I've started my podcast and my business, I get inundated with messages of people who want to be my friend, who want to pitch me on certain things. And I'm almost leery to the point of accepting new friends because of this. But today, someone connected with me, and I was just honest, I'm like, look, if you're going to pitch me, I'm not really interested, get to know me first. Like, do we even have anything in common? And I was reminded that not everyone is that way. So if you've been listening to the show and you've learned a little bit about me, you know that I want to live my life more intentionally, that I agree with the fact that life is just too short. And I really honestly don't want to spend my life doing things that I don't love. As I'm trying every day to do things that make me happy, to spend the precious time that I have making a difference and just spending my time intentionally. So the last thing I want to do after a long day at work is come home to all these messages of people trying to pitch me. But again, today I was reminded that we need to give people second chances, give them the benefit of the doubt. Although I have been inundated with these messages, I have also made these beautiful connections with these people with beautiful human stories, people who are just genuinely want to get to know you better. They want to share something with you, or they want to ask something. And I love these relationships because I learned so much from these individuals. Today I had somebody who kind of contacted me out of the blue and is just like, hey, I see that, can we be friends on Facebook? And I was kind of hesitant. And because I've been, cornered so many times and trying to stay to my authentic self and trying not to waste my time, I did, kind of say, hey, I don't mean to be abrupt. And I hope this isn't coming from a harsh place, that you don't think it's coming from a harsh place, because it's really not. But if you honestly want to connect with me, that's great. If this is all about trying to sell me something, I'm really just too busy. I don't have the time for it. And at first I was writing that and I thought, well, that's kind of harsh. You seem kind of, that's not very nice, putting people off. But I have to practice what I preach. Life is too short. I don't want to spend time trying to be convinced to do things that is just not for me. There are a lot of opportunities out there online. It's just not something, it's not my cup of tea. It's just not something that I want to engage with, not for any other reason. And, maybe it's working for other people. I just honestly don't have the time to do everything. In the process, of being more open and perhaps engaging a little bit more in these conversations, there have been some relationships, beautiful relationships that have evolved from also giving people the benefit of the doubt. So I just wanted to tell you a story today about giving people second chances. So I used to work for a music store, and we used to sell instruments when I was a teenager. And a gentleman walked in, and he was pretty filthy. He was unkempt, very quiet, kind of, somebody that you would not normally approach, out of the blue. And he walked in and he sat down at one of our grand pianos. And just before he started to play, his hands he'd been working, or perhaps he was homeless, or his hands were pretty dirty, and my boss was kind of worried about him dirtying up the ivory on the piano. And he asked him to step away. And it kind of took me off guard. So the gentleman was like, well, I just want to try out your grand piano. And it was like a $40,000 piano. So my boss, again, was kind of leery, didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. The guy started to play anyways. He was masterful at the piano. He played beautifully. He said he was interested in buying. And my boss at the time didn't give him the time of day. My boss at the time wasn't being very welcoming to the gentleman, and took the way that he looked as who he was, which is a big mistake. I'm telling you, big mistake. He says, well, I don't think you could afford this piano. He said, I'd like it if you could leave the store. And he says, well, you've just lost a sale, mister, because, I was going to pay cash for this piano. So my boss kind of laughed at him, checked him off. About 20 minutes later, he came in with his grandmother, who also loved the piano and played the piano. And they had cash, not all in cash, but they had quite a bit of cash that they were going to put down on this piano. And that day, not only did he lose a sale, but he lost my respect, because he saw this gentleman in a certain way. That day taught me a lot. It taught me that we all need second chances. Y'all hear about, first impressions. I think we should give people second impressions, whether it's on social media or people trying to reach to you as friends or what have you, or this gentleman in the store trying to buy this piano. You just don't know. You cannot go by appearances. I think you cannot judge people by the first time you meet them. What if they're having a horrible day? You can't just base who they are by that one encounter. I just, I was thinking about that today, and I was wondering what I wanted to talk about. And then this conversation online happened, and I thought, hey, this is important. It's important that, I gave him a chance. He gave me a chance. And all in all, we have a lot in common. This person's actually going to come on my podcast. He's got a great story to tell. And I didn't shut him down. So although we need to be leery when we're dealing with people online, because there are a lot of people out there that are scammers, I think we also need to give people benefit of the doubt. Anyways, that's my little rant for today. I wanted to say how much I really appreciate everybody listening to the show. I wanted to let you know that I'm going to work hard at trying my best to bring this show good strategies, good tips that can help everyone. It really is important to me. If you do want to connect, I now have a new email. It's givingstartswithyoupodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach me at info@travellivegive.com. If you want to learn more about some of the projects we're working on, such as the ukulele project or Evan's loot bags for the homeless, I would encourage you to check out our website. It's called www.travellivegive.com. And I just click on the ukulele video, see what we've been up to. And hopefully I'd like to, share some more projects with you in the near future. So take care, everyone. Remember that giving does start with you. And when you give people the benefit of the doubt, you are giving yourself a gift as well. You're giving yourself the gift of a new friendship, and that person texted me once we were done our conversation. They texted me, "Hey, I guess we're no longer strangers. We're now friends." So yeah, give everybody a second chance. See you next week on the Giving Starts With You podcast. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please subscribe or leave a review. See you next week on the Giving Starts With You podcast.